Hello everyone, this is the Disfunctional Shul number 20, and I'd like to speak today about two scenarios I saw in the same day. In Shachris, I saw a gentleman who was learning not one but two Gemaras at the same time during Chazarat Hashatz. Namely, he was looking at one and then cross-referencing with another, and I could see he was learning it attentively. We love people that learn Torah, and we love people that learn Gemara, and I am not about to speak about the permissibility of learning during Chazarat Hashatz, I can promise you. But this is scenario number one. Scenario number two, I was at Mincha, and a gentleman next to me, again, during Chazarat Hashatz, was looking at invoices, literally glancing at this invoice and then turning the page and looking at another invoice, and that's what he was doing during Chazarat Hashatz. Now, you may look at me and say, which is worse? And I'd like you to think about it for a moment. You can pause this video and say, which do you think I'm going to say is worse? And I can promise you, you guessed wrong. I believe that the first instance was wrong, much more wrong than the second, and I'll explain why. The highest, most maximum limud zchut of learning during Chazarat Hashatz was given to us by no other than the Rama Mipano. The Rama Mipano said that if you can do two things at once, namely listen to the chazan, know what you're answering amen about, and at the same time learn, then you can learn during Chazarat Hashatz. But if you can't do two things at once, namely you can't concentrate on both what you're learning and on the chazan's repetition, then you shouldn't be learning during Chazarat Hashatz. That's what he said. Based on that, I'm pretty sure that the gentleman just glancing at invoicing was glancing, turning this page, turning that page. I'm pretty sure that he was doing two things at once. Is it permissible? If he would have asked me, I would say no. The code of Jewish law says you should be quiet and listen to the chazan. But at the end of the day, there's a limud zchut in the sense of you can do two things at once. The gentleman learning Gemara, and I mean attentively, either he wasn't learning Gemara or he wasn't listening to the chazan. It is impossible to learn a page of Gemara doing two things at once. I'm sure anyone listening to this knows very much what I'm talking about. Either you are learning Gemara or you're not learning Gemara. It's impossible to be learning Gemara and doing something else at the same time. And from this perspective, either he was learning Gemara and not listening to the chazan, or listening to the chazan and not learning Gemara. Either way, one of the two was hurt. And therefore, I find no permissibility in the world to learn Gemara during Chazarat Hashatz. And I believe that this halacha of listening attentively to the chazan teaches us something. And that is something that we sometimes overlook. And it's called attentive listening, or active listening in the professional world. How many times did we listen to someone and our phone went off and we looked at the phone and saw who's calling before continuing to listen? That is so rude. That is so disgusting. That is so repulsive to do. Someone human is sitting in front of you and you look at your phone. I believe that every day, at least twice a day, Shachris and Mincha, we can regulate ourselves to attentive listening. We can ultimately actively listen for 3 minutes, 4 minutes that it takes Chazarat Hashatz, and ultimately not do something else at the same time. But if indeed we do something else at the same time, then that other thing has to be very light. It cannot be heavy like learning Gemara.